All right, another episode on the way, of course. I think first things first, I want to say happy birthday to D Wade. Obviously one of the best shooting guards ever played the game. One of the best players ever in Miami Heat history. Man, it's just dope.
World.
Does my statement not still apply?
Yeah, true.
my fault. Fine. You want to add the world? All right, fine. One of the best players ever in the world. Cool.
That's my guy. So I gotta.
All right, fine. You can give him this birthday shout out.
Yeah, I know. No, bro. Happy birthday to D Wade. One of the greatest, most exciting basketball players of all time. I would say he's starting to since he retired, he's kind of starting to become a little bit underrated for a lot of people that kind of just started watching. Well, we're watching the Miami Heat when he kind of teamed up with LeBron James. But even before that, he was the guy on a championship team, the guy in his third year in the league. That's hard to do. And he's just special. Skill bully, one of the greatest guards at splitting screens, Heat legend. I mean, he was special player.
Is that even possible to become more underrated after you retire? When you stop playing, people...
It's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy.
Okay. I mean, I guess I see the point.
No, because it's some people. I've had several debates and conversations with some people saying that I love James Harden. James Harden's a championship away from becoming the third greatest shooting guard of all time. I'm like, all right, now come on, now what are we really saying here? Dwyane Wade was clutch, was efficient, two-way player, arguably the greatest defender when we talk about blocking shots from a guard standpoint. A legitimate argument be made that it's Dwyane Wade. So it's just kind of like I said, the greatest at splitting screens. He played defense, was clutch, a mid-range assassin. He's special. I mean, he was a total package. A lot of people don't really understand that because they look at his peak wasn't as long as some of the all-time other greats, but it's just that 5 to 6 year window and run that he went on. And also this, we talk about the dream team. We talk about the 08 team. A legitimate argument can be made that 08 team, Dwyane Wade was the best player on that team. As a six man coming off the bench and led that USA team in scoring as well. So it's just people tend to forget how cold and how legendary Dwyane Wade was. It's the reason why, to me personally, he's the greatest number 3, the player to wear the number 3 jersey of all time, and also a top 20 player of all time as well. So shout out to D Wade. Happy 40th. Heat legend,
and it's always cool to see how players play when they're playing with other high level guys, right? All these dudes have always been the best player on their team, but when you're playing in an all-star game or Team USA, obviously those are two different things. One is a little bit more serious than the other, but it's the idea you're on the court now where everyone on your team is either just as good as you or better or slightly below you. But that conversation too of those 3 shooting guards, right? James Harden, AI, and Dwyane Wade. I think the most common one that people go with nowadays because they're both retired is AI versus Dwyane Wade. And obviously they had different careers and teammates and things like that. But now we throw James Harden into the mix. So we might as well ask this question. If you had to put those 3 in order, right, and everything, right, eye test, obviously rings, D Wade has that by a long shot, of course, but just overall, career-wise, legacy, impact on the game, Dwyane Wade, James Harden, and Allen Iverson.
That's hard because I know Allen Iverson played the shooting guard position, but he also played the point guard position throughout his career with the Philadelphia Sixers as well. It's he's a hybrid guard. Is he really a true shooting guard like a James Harden?
Absolutely. I personally I would say James Harden is more of a point guard, and Dwyane Wade, I would say that both of those two are more of a point guards than AI. In my personal opinion, I can't say that Allen Iverson is a point guard, which isn't a bad thing. That's not a bad thing at all. But I'm
just talking about the position. I'm just talking about it was like.
No, I hear you, but still, I would not say that Allen Iverson was a point guard.
All right, so Dwyane Wade, Allen Iverson, James Harden. How would an eye test, legacy standpoint? I mean,
it's definitely challenging. I think
it's tough because from a skill set standpoint, I mean, it's really tough. James Harden to me is one of the top 10 offensive talent of all time from a skill set standpoint, and Allen Iverson, we know how incredibly skilled Allen Iverson is. So if we're talking about just purely skill, then I probably would go like maybe Allen 1, James 2, D-Wade 3, if we're just talking about pure skill, pureness of skill. You know, we're talking about footwork, we talk about handleability, we talk about finishing at the rim, even though Dwyane Wade was a phenomenal finisher, probably the best finisher between that bunch. But we talk about overall everything, legacy, we talk about clutchness, we talking about winning championships, we talking about skill point, not skill point, we talk about skill as well. All those things combined, then you probably got to get an edge to Dwyane Wade, number 1.
Man, keep changing his mind. I thought he was getting ready to say bag. I thought you were getting ready to say bag, like when we talking about skill and handle and forward and all that. I mean, James Harden, bag-wise is, But then again, I mean,
it's more than just.
We're also AI.
Yeah, look at AI. It was crazy. Like, and also like footwork as well. Dwyane Wade's footwork was impeccable. So it's just like it's so much like when you talk about bag, it's so much. Of course, Allen Iverson and James Harden had a better bag than Dwyane Wade, but like that's what I'm saying. Like if we're talking about skill set, it's like okay, James Harden, Allen Iverson, and Dwyane Wade. That's the order. But we're talking about everything, total package, winning championships, clutchness. Dwyane Wade got to be number 1 for me, and then I'm probably going to get an edge to Allen Iverson and then James Harden. Now, James Harden is a championship away from starting a lot of conversations for a lot of things. So not just when we talk about shooting guards, when we talk about like him jumping and elevating on all time lists once he gets a championship. So, but from a skill set standpoint, I'll say this: it's James Harden, Allen Iverson, Dwyane Wade from a total standpoint of skill set, accolades, achievements, winning, culture, and skill, all that stuff, I'll go Dwyane Wade, Allen Iverson, James Harden.
I'm not mad at it. I think when we talk about bag, it's crazy because AI, I mean, obviously you made the case, had some of the best handles of all time. D-Wade, you mentioned footwork, and James Harden is just straight up pure bag into the scoring. And so, well, honestly, and facilitating.
Yeah.
And it's like to have both, I think all of them have their own like respective lanes. And in a way, they're often compared, right? But they're similar and different at the same exact time in terms of their overall careers and like that. I think though, James Harden, sometimes like his luck just hasn't been there in terms of the teams he's had to face in the playoffs. Like when you look at some of those Warriors teams, it's like, well, damn, what do you really expect? Same way with AI, right? You make it that far to the finals, and on paper, right, considering how good the Lakers were. And what AI, had to work with is like the fact that they even had one game, right? The fact that it wasn't even a sweep. Like we talk about that Lakers team being the best of all time. You know what I'm saying? Or one of the best of all time. One of the best of all time.
Top 3 to 5 for sure.
Yeah, right. And it's like, a guy that small in stature can at least bring his team to one win in the NBA Finals. That's impressive in itself.
Yeah. That's man, it's tough. It's tough because I said,
it's definitely a tough one.
It's tough because like I said, the whole shooting guard notion, like none of those guys are really true shooting guards. If you really as you said, like James Harden can play the point guard. He's shooting guard. He's a hybrid. Allen Iverson's a hybrid. Even Dwyane Wade's a combo guard. So it's just kind of like,
me personally, I would say like James Harden and Dwyane Wade more so like combo and hybrid. But I don't. I mean, AI probably could play point, but like I personally would just always want him at 2. Like I would not want. Yeah, exactly. I just want him to focus on scoring. James Harden, all right. I mean, we're seeing it now with James Harden, right? Playing with KD and Kyrie and stuff like that. He's a great facilitator. Same way with D-Wade and the times that he has to obviously play with LeBron and even before LeBron. But AI, when I watch his game, I just want him to score. Like don't like try and set the offense. Not to say that he can't, but
how would you rank him?
All right, so me, I like winning. And that's not the only thing that I prioritize. But when we're talking about 3 guys who can in a way just be flip-flop and it's all interchangeable, the one thing that I'm going to hang my hat on, or the one thing that, in my opinion, should break the tiebreaker, is chips, right? So I would go with D-Wade at 1. It's not just because he has multiple of them, but he does have at least one where it's by himself, or he was the clear-cut number, the best player, number 1 option. Now if he had just 2, and both of those came with LeBron and Chris, then it's like, all right, maybe one of those other guys into it. But he does have a championship, where he was the best player. So I would go with D-Wade at 1. Ooh.
And that's where it gets kind of challenging because it's like James Harden or Allen Iverson.
Right. And you know what? I'm gonna do the Kendrick Perkins. I'm gonna cheat a little bit, and I'm gonna say Allen Iverson at 2. And the reason why I mentioned Kendrick Perkins is because I'm saying James Harden still has time to left to prove. So I'm gonna play it that route. I'm gonna play it safe and say that
as of right now.
Right, as of right now. Right? The reason why I got AI at 2, and it's not obviously again that doesn't mean that like I'm saying that AI is there just by chance or luck, but just I mean that is true at the end of the day. James Harden still has a chance to win a ring. I already know naturally if he does win a ring with Brooklyn and KD and so on his team, people will mention the fact that he won it with Kevin Durant. But if that happens, if you mention James Harden winning a championship with Kevin Durant, you have to mention that Dwyane Wade won it with LeBron James and Chris Bosh. So
he won one with Shaq though too, and that was and that was by him. I don't even consider Shaq was on the court in that series. If you really go back and look at it, like
of course. I mean,
he wasn't dominant at all. So it's kind of like you're still gonna probably have to get that edge to D-Wade if you really think about it, because like if you start looking at it, like all right, Dwyane Wade arguably gave us a top 5 NBA Finals performance of all time. So it's just kind of like
these are facts.
Unless James Harden about to do that,
but he can't. And not like
exactly.
Not off his individual. But you can't do that with Kevin Durant on your team.
Yeah,
like KD would have to score 15. Like I don't see that happening in the NBA Finals with a guy like KD. So I mean,
and an argument can be made that 2011 Finals, it wouldn't have been LeBron James if the Miami Heat would have won that series. It probably would have been LeBron James winning that Finals MVP. It probably would have been Dwyane Wade because he was having a better overall series than LeBron James, and he was kind of like the only one that really truly showed up too as well. So it's just kind of like when you play back and look at things historically, it's a lot of things that come into play when we talk about ranking guys or who deserves what and who's in the top 3 shooting guards of all time or even in the top 20 of all time list. But all I know is that I know for a fact that Dwyane Wade and Allen Iverson are in there when we talk about the top 20 players of all time. And then you got James Harden, like you said, play the Kendrick Perkins. Like as of right now, he's at that third tier. Those 2 guys ahead of him, but he still has time over the course of his NBA career.
Especially too, great point. And like when we talk about your counterparts or guys that you get compared to, right? It's like AI, right? Whether he gets compared to, let's say, Kobe, right? The guys that play in the same era. Kobe was playing with Shaq. So it's like, all right, there's a reason why AI might not have a ring because Kobe gets to play with Shaq. AI doesn't have a Shaq. But now we talk about, James Harden versus Giannis. That's a common one, right? And not necessarily position-wise, just overall, why haven't you won a ring? That question gets presented. And it's like, well, Giannis, shout out to Chris Middleton, but Chris isn't Shaq, right? James Harden, even though he had that Chris Paul injury, which to this day, that's a big question mark in Houston. Like, who knows if Chris would be able to play? What could have happened with that team and overall, James' legacy and time in Houston and all that. Maybe he'd still be a Rocket, right? If he would have won at least one chip, who's to say he wouldn't still be down in Texas right now? But I think eventually there comes a point where it's like, all right, you've had, right, all the pieces necessary to win. Why haven't you gotten at least one? And I think that he can do it, right? I'm not sitting here saying that he won't do it, but you can't play with so many Hall of Famers.
That's true.
And then end up with a goose egg.
That's a dicey situation because like we always talk about like team situations and also like from a team standpoint, it's like we look at the Golden State Warriors, who was beating them, and then mic back on. Corey came out. who was beating the Golden State Warriors? But then you look at James Harden. He's also going to have like this on his legacy, even though he didn't get over the hump and gets to Golden State Warriors. He was the only superstar in that when the Golden State Warriors were really dominating and had their dynasty or whatever. He was the only true superstar that really gave them like a chance. It wasn't LeBron James. It was James Harden and the Houston Rockets. Like when you look at those series, those were like watching the NBA Finals. He was like, the Houston Rockets was the only really team that really kind of like, you know what? We're going to go out and try to make moves. We're going to go out and play this analytic 7 seconds or less system, and we're going to really like do it to a T. We're just going to go small ball, all shooting, all threes, all everything, and just try to go out and really try to beat this team. And it almost worked. And they were the only team really successful at really like making the Golden State Warriors almost not become a dynasty. And when you look at it, like it wasn't LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers, it was James Harden and Houston Rockets. So even though he didn't get it done, it's just kind of like nobody really gave a hard fight like he and the Rockets did. So
yeah, and it sucks too because the Rockets had like that one game where they just shot horribly from 3, and it's like that one game. It's so crazy how like one game can really like either change or not change.
It was a lot of stuff though. It was a lot of,
I mean,
fouls wasn't getting called. That you go back and rewatch some of that. Man,
listen, that might be true, but stuff like that happens every game. Whether players or people want to admit that, I've never met a good ref a day in my life. Okay, like no one is. I ain't never hear someone say, you know what, he reffed the hell out of the game. I ain't never hear that. So I get it, and as a former player, I get all that. I'm not disagreeing, but at the same time, if you gotta sit here and put like this, what you could have controlled. Let's talk about and focus on that. Shooting that poorly from 3, that ain't the ref's fault.
Yeah.
That ain't an X and an O's thing. That ain't a
yeah.
And then sometimes you say, sometimes it just wasn't our night. We were shooting poorly. That shit was awful. That's like you got good nights, you got decent nights, you got bad nights, you got below bad nights, and then you got what the hell the Houston Rockets did. That was like, man. It was almost as if like it looked like it was intentional. It was like,
but it was crazy because they still almost had a chance to win. So as crazy as that seemed, they still almost had a chance to pull it off. But I don't know, the James Harden situation about the whole championship. It's kind of like people are gonna point out, like me, like look at the team situation he's on compared to some of the other counterparts. But like you said, you look at like Kobe Bryant had Shaq and Allen Iverson didn't have Shaq. So it's just like, it's always like 2 stories. So it's just kind of like, what story are people going to focus on at the end of the day? Because Allen Iverson, it does seem like people tend to like, Allen Iverson didn't have nobody. Like, Kobe had Shaq. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, but with James Harden, like, well, James Harden, we know some of your team situation wasn't really that great, but like you had Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, you had Chris Paul. So it's just like, even though you went up against a dynasty, it's just kind of like you still had opportunities to succeed.
And I would say too, it like again going back to the luck thing, it's like if James Harden, like if the Warriors were in the East, right, and then James Harden met them in the finals, this would probably be the same exact conversation that we have about AI. Like, what if the Lakers were in the East and AI met the Lakers in the Eastern Conference Finals or whatever the case may be? It's like it just so happens that they were on the other side of the country. And so I get it that, and again, not taking anything away from AI, but I think context and all of this is very, very important. AI brought a team to the finals, sure. But last time I checked, he did not have to face a team like the Warriors in the Eastern Conference Finals. So it's almost as like with James Harden, again, it's like, it sucks. It's unfortunate, but you know what? It is what it is. And now that you're playing with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, every single excuse that you might have had beforehand is clipped.
Yeah,
outside of like injuries and health safety protocols, of course.
And that's what we're going to talk about now, because now Kevin Durant's out potentially for 4 to 6 weeks. So it's just kind of like every time it's like, we finally get to see James Harden, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Durant play on the same team for a significant amount of games. One of them always gets hurt. So now it's getting to the point where like, are we ever going to truly see like the big 3 fully healthy on the court at the same time? And it's just kind of like, because as a playing sports, you need to develop chemistry. And they already in a situation where Kyrie's playing part-time and this is going on. And it's just kind of like, if they don't get it's going to be hard because people are going to look at this situation like, if the Brooklyn Nets don't win a championship this year, it's just like, damn, this is 3 years in a row where like you had Kevin Durant, and Kyrie, and then you had Kevin Durant, Kyrie, and James Harden, and it's like you don't win a finals. It's conversations have to be had, because even though people can talk about the injuries, it's still probably at the end of the day going to be at least 2 out of the 3 on the court.
And that's the thing too. Hopefully, again, all 3 of them are healthy. But yeah, that's the biggest thing. It's like, you have what you asked for, right? Like this wasn't a management kind of, all right, we need to, trade everybody. There were some requests made, saying you've been given the tools, the players, the city, and like it's been built for you. And so again, that list of things that you can like say, all right, this is why I don't have a ring, that people it's getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And so it's like,
yeah, it's over with.
You know, it's over with now.
I'll say it's over with after this. Like, if you don't.
No. Well, I would say, you know, it's never technically over with when it comes to injuries, right? Because at the end of the day, if you have someone on your roster that you expect to play and isn't playing, they're not there, right? So, again, obviously hope that they can all remain healthy and play come playoff time, and even, you know, if they make it to the finals. But if they are healthy and they don't, but like this, because I can see it now. I can see it now. I don't think like Nets fans are crazy. You know, I don't have a crazy enough history to be crazy, but I can see it now that like if Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Kyrie Irving make it to the Eastern Conference Finals or lose in Eastern Conference Finals or lose in the finals, people will sit here and say, well, they don't have chemistry. And no disrespect, but I don't want to hear that. Because even though that's true, you got 3 guys that can give you 40 in your sleep. And chemistry is a part of basketball. I get that. Like, it takes time to develop. You're not just going to randomly, you know, come together and just play well. I get that. But I also don't want to hear that. These are 3 first ballot Hall of Famers, right? These are 3 guys who have all been an MVP consideration at some point in their careers. So anything along the lines of, well, they needed more time together. Sure, you're right. They did, but guess what? They didn't. So now what are we doing? Like, it's going to be unfortunate. I know it is, but I don't want to hear that as an excuse. Get the job done.
Yeah, I don't think
it's going to be the damn job done.
It shouldn't be an excuse if they're all healthy at the same time. I don't want to hear anything about chemistry. You got the 3 best isolation scorers in the game. You can create off the dribble. All can play, you know, off the ball as well at times and catch and shoot. It's like they have really no flaws offensively. So it's just now it's just like injuries. Like, can we get healthy and get on the right page quickly? And quickly, because it's just like, yo, like, we don't want to like go into the playoffs with not at least playing, I want to say at least 10 to 12 games with each other. That's key, because it's like sometimes you can use like the playoffs like to kind of like tune yourself up, especially in like the first round. But like once you start playing teams like in the second round, like, what if they have to play like the Bucks or the Miami Heat, teams that have like chemistry and teams that's like, yo, have a culture and have a foundation. It's just like that tune up that you were doing in the first round, second round gets very, very real. So it's just kind of like, that's also the Los Angeles Lakers problem, as we're seeing right now. They thought that about last year, like, yo, all right, we got everybody healthy, like, we know, but it's just like, boom, something else happened, and then like, yo, you haven't played with each other and stuff like that.
I don't even want to talk about, man. Yeah, I'm gonna stand with the Brooklyn Nets conversation, because, you know, I think too, like you said, you know, the preseason is meant for the preseason, right? Earlier games before the All-Star break is meant to kind of the same thing, right? Get a rhythm. Obviously, you want to win games still, but it's still to develop chemistry. But come playoff time, it's real.
Yeah.
Right? Like, one game can really end and dictate your entire season, right? Like, one missed shot in the playoffs can change an entire series. And so you don't want to reach April, May, and June still trying to figure out certain things. Now, again, it would be nice if they had the chemistry, but I refuse to allow any type of excuse to come around if they were to lose. Now, if they win, of course, congratulations. I'm rooting for their success. But there is not about to be no, well, they didn't have this, they didn't have that. Too damn bad.
Yeah. Only thing that's injuries aside, that's the only thing that we can really harp on.
That is it.
And
that is it.
And even then, you got some people that's going to be like very casual about the whole situation. Because I know people that really like confirmation bias is real. As long as they lose, that's all that matters. Oh, Kevin Durant didn't have James Harden was playing on one leg, Kyrie was out. Oh, so what? That's how some people are going to feel. Like, it's not right. And it's like, it's not, that's a very casual perspective. Like, if we go back and we look at the Brooklyn Nets series versus the Milwaukee Bucks series, and I always ask people, do you really think if the roles were reversed and Kevin Durant was on the Milwaukee Bucks with everybody healthy and Giannis was on the Brooklyn Nets with just a one-legged James Harden, do you really think that it would have even gone 7 games? That was a testament to Kevin Durant's greatness, in my opinion. Because I don't even think it would have went 7 games if the roles were reversed. But you're still going to have people say, well, oh well, injuries are part of the sport. They didn't get it done.
Yeah.
LeBron wouldn't have got the excuse. You know, people won't throw that out. This was LeBron. Why are people giving excuses to Kevin Durant? So it's just kind of like, that's the game. That's how the game goes sometimes.
Yeah. I'm not going to say it's unfortunate, because, I mean, when you're at that level, like, again, you listen to the names you just mentioned.
Yeah.
LeBron, KD, Giannis. Like, this is, you know, we're not talking about, you know, anyone that's, you know, just trying to make the All-Star game. These are guys that, you know what I'm saying, are going to finish their careers in top definitely, LeBron and KD on that verge, but top 10. But even Giannis is like, if he goes out and wins a championship this year with everybody healthy, outside of, Kawhi and other guys, of course, but
that trajectory gets scary.
It gets scary.
If they go back to back and Giannis wins this championship, like I'm talking about like
it gets scary quickly.
Yeah, it gets very scary because I'm talking about like, we have to start talking like his ceiling is probably top 10 of all time. And we start talking about like, that's his trajectory if he wins it back to back, because he joins a small list of like players we talk about like in that top 10 that's won back to back titles. And we talk about like Jordan, we talk about LeBron, we talk about Kevin Durant, like we talk about Magic Johnson, like that list gets very, very small. And it's just like, people don't understand. It's hard winning back to back, regardless if you got a great team or not. Winning back to back is tough. And it's just like it's also doing the three-peat. That's why we haven't seen it been done since Kobe and Shaq. Like it's tough. Like, but back to back is tough as well.
And then to do it without having any other guaranteed as of right now Hall of Famers on your team.
Yeah.
And then to do it
or top 50 players of all time.
Top 50.
That's another thing.
95. I mean, it's no shade. I'm just saying. No shade. No shade.
Yeah.
This, I'm just saying what's on, the list. No shade at all.
Yeah.
And then to do it in a market like Milwaukee.
Mm-hmm.
And then to do it with the team that drafted you.
Yeah.
And then to do it where, shout out to Drew Holiday, man, but it ain't been too many like crazy trades.
Yeah, and don't go out and beat. Don't go out and beat.
Don't
go out and beat the Brooklyn Nets. Don't go out and beat, let's say, the Los Angeles Lakers or the Golden State Warriors. It gets very scary because when you start looking at, people love to talk about like Kevin Durant and talking about like LeBron James and the teams that they had and stuff like that. But it's just like, it does feel a little better when you are on a top 10 list of all time where you say, I beat LeBron James in the finals more times than he beat me. Regardless of the team situation, that's these guys mentally like, it is what it is. Because I'm a person that always would tell you, like, we grew up watching like the NBA where head to head matters. I don't care. Like, team aside, when you go up and you have two alpha dogs and two top 10 players in the finals and stuff like that, and you're really competing, look, I know team aside, but it's just like head to head still matters to me.
Same here. Especially when we talking about, and you mentioned before, like the Christmas Day games and MLK Day games and, basically big games during the regular season. But come the NBA Finals, come playoff time, that multiplies by like 5. Because this is like win or go home. You can make the case that in the regular season, all right, you just called me on a bad day. Yeah. Or you know what, this is just a 48-minute game. You know what, I was low-key resting, yesterday, so my legs, whatever. But come playoff time, all that shit, that's out the window, right? It ain't no excuses then. You're not trying to just chill, you know what I'm saying, in May. You're not. Yeah. Every minute, every possession matters. So, even though the fantasy football season is over, you can keep the excitement alive with MyBookie's double deposit bonus. Having your initial deposit matched up to $1,000 is like playing every game with home field advantage. All you have to do is sign up, use promo code NOPUMPFAKES, and get your funds credited to your account instantly so you can start placing your bets with MyBookie. With the NFL postseason in full swing, there's no shortage of games to choose from at MyBookie. And everyone knows that playoffs equal points. It's the best time of the year to hammer overs. With every player out to make a name for themselves, player props are a great way to find an edge. MyBookie is also home to exclusive contests that can be used to maximize your winnings and make 2022 your best year yet. Don't miss out. Double your first deposit up to $1,000 by using promo code NOPUMPFAKES. Place your bets and get ready for the intensity of playoff action. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie. You know what's funny though? I think it's going to get, I don't know. Because I was going to say it's going to get scary, obviously, if Giannis goes to the finals and beats the Nets and then potentially the Warriors or whoever comes out the West. But I was going to say maybe it gets scary if Kevin Durant does that. Like if he beats the Bucks and then,
No, yeah.
I don't think it's scary though.
No, I think it gets a little scary because like you got some people feel like Kevin Durant's not a top 10 player of all time. I don't feel that way, but some people do.
But I'm not mad at that. Like I'm not saying fine. I completely agree with it, but I'm saying like when you really list out the names, like
that's not.
If you got KD at like 11 or all right, I won't go past 11, but like it's
11, 12. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. But let me tell you something. Let Kevin Durant go out and win a finals and a Finals MVP. It gets like, because you're gonna have some people when you start looking at, because it's some guys that just don't only look at like accolades. So the guys that only look at accolades and career and stuff like that, they're gonna be like, okay, yeah, he got 3. He still got a little bit more work to do for him to get like this, to keep going higher. But you got some guys like me. I look at everything. I look at like that top 10. I look at skill and talent perspective. I look like being unstoppable in the half court. I look at like accolades. I look at all those things. And let me tell you something. Like, it gets scary if he wins a Finals MVP and then goes out and wins another championship, because now it's just like he got 3 Finals MVPs, he got 3 championships, and it's just kind of like, arguably, he's probably a top. He's already a top 10 offensive talent of all time. Then it's just like you can make an argument that like it may not be from a skill set standpoint, eye test standpoint. It may not be 5 guys all time better than Kevin Durant. That's the argument that's going to get made by me. Because when I start looking at things like that and him with accolades, talent, skill set, I'm going to start looking like, like LeBron, MJ, Kobe.
I was going to say, I don't know what type of players you were naming, but
you know what I'm saying?
Like, make sure that name gets tossed in there.
When we start talking about, like, with me, I'm just like, all right, those 3.
I think the thing that's always going to be unfortunate for Kevin Durant is the fact. No, I'm just saying, like, this isn't what I believe.
No, I know.
But you know what I'm saying? There's always going to be an argument that he went and joined for those rings. Always. And that sucks, but that is some narratives that people are going to run with. Kevin Durant could literally score 60 points this year in the NBA Finals. And there will still be people claiming that he was able to do that because he had James Harden and Kyrie Irving. That is the decisions.
If he brings the Brooklyn Nets their first ever NBA championship, what the hell are people going to say?
Well, come on,
but it's just but you can't. But it's just like that. But still, it's like you can say about the Golden State Warriors, but like he did something that hasn't been done before. Like, that would be building a legacy and starting a legacy. Like, it's not like it's a reason why like we celebrate 2016 with LeBron James. It's just like that's the first ever championship in franchise. It's a reason why we celebrate Dwyane Wade when in his 3rd season he brought Miami Heat their first ever championship. Like, it's those things are going to remember all the time. And don't go out and do it against a team that's like I said, like the Golden State Warriors or something. Like, don't go out and do it when you have a matchup where it's like, it's like a toss-up, it's a pick-me. And it's something like we have an all-time finals, and he pulls it off. That's what I'm saying. They can talk about the Golden State Warriors, but just make sure you talk about like what he just did as well, because he's gonna always have that in the back of his mind. So you can't change that.
Yeah, of course. People are gonna get real, active and flip flop with certain opinions if that happens. But I mean, it's something that one, he can't really control. Obviously, can't even say whether he cares or not. But it is just something that that's always going to be with him. But I think when you beat the players that people are comparing you to, it's a little different.
Yeah, especially if you beat the Warriors. What sweeter joy would it be for Kevin Durant to go out and win a championship and beat the Golden State Warriors in the finals? A team to where, he had to come join and win the finals. Okay, I say that Kevin Durant joined the Golden State Warriors and win championship, but he also joined the Golden State Warriors and kind of made them a dynasty. That's how I feel. Now let's say, the Golden State Warriors lose against Kevin Durant after all these years of people saying, well, they didn't really need Kevin Durant. And I was like, well, kind of needed Kevin Durant to become a dynasty, because we saw in 2019 where they lost to the Toronto Raptors, even though people are going to point to injuries and stuff like that. That's fine. They still didn't have Kevin Durant. So it's just like, that would have been a perfect time to shut up all those critics and Draymond talking shit and all that stuff, but it didn't happen. So let's say we get to June and it's the Warriors and it's Kevin Durant and the Nets in the NBA Finals. And let's say that he goes out and beats Stephen Curry and the Golden State Warriors. A lot of that chatter, I think, will get destroyed, because it's going to be like, damn, like, Kevin Durant showed you, like, like, y'all really needed him more so than he needed you. So but it's a lot of narrative that's going to get created. There's a lot of narratives going to get destroyed, because if Stephen Curry goes out and beat Kevin Durant in the finals, it's a lot of things. It's gonna look crazy
spooky for a lot of people. It's gonna look spooky for a lot of people. Like, look at Steph, KD, Giannis. Watch, the freaking Suns gonna mess around and win the finals, and no one's gonna be
Utah
like
Jazz, Utah Jazz, Milwaukee Bucks.
Ew! Oh my god!
Rudy Gobert, Finals MVP, averages 17 and 20 rebounds per game.
We might not have an episode that entire week if some bullshit like that happens. we might have to shut shit down. Like, all right, guys.
It gets nasty.
It gets nasty. But I mean, hey, this is the beauty of the league, right? Is the fact that anything really can happen.
This is always it's been the season for a while. This season, right? And you don't know what can happen really.
Yeah, man. It's almost like you want to just wait until the playoffs get to say like, all right, now it's time to turn up, or now it's like we can really see. But like at the same time, you don't just randomly start playing quality basketball when you snap your fingers.
Well, that's people's argument with your team in the Lake Show.
That's very true. I'm past that though now, man. Obviously I'm not saying I never given up on my team and stuff, but like we are not a very good basketball team right now.
Told you that six podcasts ago. 7, 8 now.
Okay, exactly. 6 podcasts ago. The hell? But now, yeah, we're not a it's like you want to keep having hope, which I do. Right? You want to keep saying like, wait till the playoffs, get here. Wait till AD plays. Wait till this. Wait till that. We're not good. We lost by 40? 37?
Mm-hmm.
I guess a different night. Like it didn't have Jamal.
Seems like
have Michael Porter Jr. and you get clapped by 37.
How did it seems like hold
on. Because hold on, bro. You know how many points 37 is? Some teams don't even score that in a quarter. 37, bro. 37. And like it's just I don't know who to blame. I don't even know what the problem is anymore. I think right now I'm just confused more than anything. I think I'm more confused and pissed off. Right? I'm more like, yo, like, do y'all see the score? Like, do y'all see how we're playing? Like it. But I really don't know. I really, really don't know. Like, it's one thing to lose. Happens to the best of us. But to get clapped by 30. It's almost as if like the Nuggets played 5 quarters and we played 4. No, that's scoring wise. People scored 37 in a quarter.
Let me ask you this question, because I know you're a diehard Laker fan. Does these last 2 years, year and a half, last season and this year, does this feel like with LeBron James the same way it felt with Kobe Bryant being on like terrible teams and Kobe Bryant's going out being all-time records and destroying all that? Okay.
Not at all. Not at all. Because the expectations, even realistically as a Laker fan, was not there. You were not watching Laker basketball expecting like, all right, we're going to win a chip this year. You weren't. Like, love Kobe, love the Lakers, but realistically, you weren't. Now, this year, this is like literally a disappointment. Right? You got 2 MVPs on the same team. You got another guy, Anthony Davis. I know he's injured right now, but just he's, kind of has always been an MVP talent. Whether he's won one or not, that's different, but he's been an MVP talent. And so to know that you got those 3 guys and things just aren't working out, that's frustrating. That's a letdown. You know what I'm saying? Like again, when you're a fan of a team, you're gonna always root for them. It doesn't matter who the opponent is, but realistically, like, all right, we might not be winning a championship this year, but that's okay. You know what I'm saying? But like when you really, really like think to yourself like, yo, this could be the year, and then you see shit like your team losing by 37, that bothers you. That's like, yo, what are we doing? You're not like in a situation, based off your question with Kobe, it's like, all right, especially too, if you're talking about the tail end of Kobe's career. Yeah. At that point, it really was just an appreciation. And even though LeBron is up there in age, we still don't know if this is the tail end of LeBron's career. Like, we really don't know that. You know what I'm saying? Like, he could play 4 or 5 more years. We don't know. But with Kobe, it was like, all right, you feel me? We just trying to enjoy, what's left of his basketball career. You feel me? But now it's like, yo, nah, I expect us to win championships. I expect us not to get clapped by 40s. I expect us to be beating teams like that we should be beating. And so that's why I say there is a difference. Losing is one thing, but having the expectation of winning and destroying is completely different. I wouldn't say that it's the same thing at all.
I agree.
But I want some wins though.
I agree. But it's crazy because LeBron came out and made that tweet, but it's just like, damn, LeBron, you averaging 30 in season 19. It's just
and it's definitely not his fault, right? I mean,
but when you get, but that's showing leadership, because when you're the man on the team and you get the most credit when you have success, even if you're playing well and your team is doing bad, you're still going to get like some of the blame. Have to hold some of the blame. I had to kind of come out and make that tweet, because it's just kind of like, it's still going to be like, yo, like, you're having one of your greatest seasons in year 19. Why aren't we winning games? Now that's what people are thinking. Like for me, like I can sit up and tell you like, yo, LeBron James playing off the ball. He's playing the center position for Los Angeles Lakers. Like this is kind of like a great thing for LeBron's career-wise, because you want him to play off the ball so he can kind of like maximize his longevity. But you don't want to do it like this, because expecting LeBron James to rim protect and rebound playing the center position in year 19, that's not a winning formula. That's not a winning philosophy. Being ranked a 27 defense with your head coach who got his reputation around the league of being a great defensive mind, that's not a winning philosophy. Like I like Malik Monk. Malik Monk has been special this year. But having Malik Monk be your best player creating off the dribble, that's not a winning philosophy for me. So it's a lot of things that's, Russell Westbrook, as great as he is, leading the league when we talk about attacking the rim and like creating like opportunities to score in the paint. But it's just kind of like, yo, the jumpers, like that's not a winning philosophy. So it's just like, now it's just like we got to a point where you got to just really ask yourself like, yo, do the Lakers pull a 2018 Cleveland Cavaliers and just go on a fire sale before the trade deadline and just, I don't know, like just try anything?
That shit was crazy.
Yeah, that's what the Lakers may have to. Yeah, the Lakers may have to do that this year, because it's just like you look at a situation like only body that should really be safe is LeBron. This is coming from a AD supporter, but it's just like, what
you're saying that Anthony Davis shouldn't be safe? You're saying it's?
I'm saying like he's not untouchable. Like of course, it would be LeBron and Anthony Davis should be the ones that are safe, but I'm gonna say like, yo, like Anthony Davis is not touchable because availability is the best ability. If you're not on the court and you're not playing, what value do you have to this franchise? What value do you have to your teammates if you're constantly injured? These are questions that people are going to say, and these are questions people are going to have, and these are legitimate questions. Because like if you're not playing, it's just like every time we look up, you're getting hurt, you're suffering injuries. It's always something. It's just like, well, as a front office, you're like, damn, you start looking around like, all right, like, what's up? These are things you start thinking about. Like, you don't want it. You know what Anthony Davis healthy. He's arguably a top 5 player in the game. Like, you can make that legitimate argument. When he's healthy, he sometimes look like the best player in the world. You can make that argument. But like, when he's not healthy, he's playing away. And when he's on the court, if he's on the court and he's not playing up to the par level that we all expect, and when he's not even on the court, it's just like, what value do you have to this franchise?
Facts. And I mean, love AD, and I still love that duo. I still love the pairing of LeBron James and Anthony Davis, and I think I can't speak. Okay, you just said me too. So
yeah, me too. Yeah, I still love it. I still trust it if they're healthy.
Right, exactly. And that is the thing that's so scary. It's like for some reason, when you really think about it, the Lakers together have played more games as a trio and as in comparison to the Brooklyn Nets. But even with that, people still have more trust in the Brooklyn Nets. Right? Like in terms, like those guys haven't played together and people still think that team could, do more damage than the Lakers. And I think we've just reached a point now where it's like, if it's not working for the Lakers, and I know you've asked me this before, what is it that you do next? Because again, I will keep using this example with the Nuggets. They had 2 gentlemen, not one, but 2 gentlemen who were injured and are not playing. And I know it's been that way for a while. This wasn't their first game. We know the Nuggets are. But come on. Like, what else needs to be done? Obviously, you're not trading LeBron. You're not blowing the whole thing up. But like, damn.
Yeah. There's some guy.
Eh,
I mean, Miles Turner is available. Like it's it's some guys that you can go up. Eric Gordon is available. Those are two pieces right there. I look at like, yo, that can
All
really
right.
like help your team.
But you know what, though, too, and much love to Eric Gordon and Miles Turner, but I think, there we go. That might be the biggest thing that is bothering me. And even though I just, what?
Yeah, that they need to make trades.
Yeah, there we go. And even myself, when I ask what's wrong, we have three brothers that have played in the NBA Finals, 3 guys that have been MVP candidates, 3 guys that are for sure Hall of Famers, 3 guys, and it's not just them, right? It is not just them. I do not want to make it seem like the Lakers are those 3 guys, but damn it, we should not have to be in a position to be looking for other players. Okay, yeah, we got Russ, we got Bron, we got AD. Who else can we add? That should be all you need. And I know people are going to look at the role players, and at some point, they have to get it done, right? Which, again, they should. You can't play 3-on-5, and in this case, 2-on-5 with AD being out. But damn, like collectively, it doesn't matter how well LeBron is playing or how great Russ is playing or whoever. If we are losing, if we have less points than the other damn team, that means we are playing horribly. Like,
yeah, only pushback that I have for that is it's just like, it's like this. Like we've talked about this before the season started. I'm like, yo, if you have a chance to acquire talent, you always acquire talent and you try to figure this shit out. Lakers ain't figuring nothing out, bro. That's the problem. Like they got Russ, and it's just like, all right, you got Russ, and they thought like, okay, we see what the Brooklyn Nets are doing. They got 3 superstars. So we're gonna try to go get Russell Westbrook, and we just gonna like, all right, we got Russell Westbrook, and we're just gonna drop him in, and it's like, all right, cool, we got Russ now. We got this talent. But you have to build a roster that's going to work with all 3 of those guys when their skill sets don't match like the Brooklyn Nets. The Brooklyn Nets got 3 players that their skill sets all match. Screen off the dribble, catch and shoot, isolation. Like it's fine. So that's why I'm not even worried about the chemistry aspect, because it's like, yo, their skill sets match. When you got Anthony Davis, who like don't know if he want to play he play outside or inside. You got LeBron James that can do everything. You got Russell Westbrook that can really only operate at the first level of the basketball court and needs room to do that. So it's just like, damn, like you would think you should have some more pieces, some more shooting around. You would think that you should start 2 centers at the same time for the first 20 games of the season. You would think those things, but it's just like, yo, it just seems like the Los Angeles Lakers got Russell Westbrook. It's like, all right, we got Russ. We got all this talent. Like, all right, just go hoop. Nah,
just
bro.
go hoop. Vibes.
You ain't got
Hoops
the
and vibes.
You ain't got the type of talent. Like they don't have those 3 skill set and talent doesn't really match. It's like a triangle. The triangle works with the Brooklyn Nets because they got 3 players that match.
Yeah.
This shit like
yeah,
a zigzag going
like,
everywhere with the Lakers. Like what?
You usually in hoop, right? Like you can't just have 3 guys in isolation. Just like, all right, your turn. But this is a very, very rare situation.
Yeah.
Right? This is not normal. This is everything you believe when it comes to just ISO ball. Throw that shit away. Yeah. Right? We are talking about Kyrie Irving, James Harden, and Kevin Durant. And when everything else might go wrong, 3 guys, you can make, they're probably 3 of like the top 5 guys in the league who can literally just say, you know what? Damn. You know what? We just wasted 18 seconds on the shot clock. Here you go, Kyrie Irving. Do you mind getting us a bucket? Yeah, like that's literally the luxury that they have.
Yeah.
That's not really the case with the Lakers. Because even though, right, Russ, we know what he is, Hall of Fame, all that, he's never been the type of guy, even with his scoring numbers, he's never been a guy you look at and say, you know what, he can give you 40 or 50 on any given night. He can score, don't get me wrong, but he's not like all right, you know what, give it to him, everybody get out the way. You know what I'm saying? Like he gets a lot of shot clock. Exactly. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? The same, like there's certain things.
Same thing with Giannis, yeah.
Right.
But
there's certain things that Kyrie and James Harden can't do, but Russ thrives in, right? That's just the game. But when you're playing with LeBron James, and the same case with Anthony Davis, great player all of his career, but you've never thought of AD as like a damn, he can get, you know what I'm saying, busy when it's like less than, you know what I'm saying? Like obviously you give it to him on the low block and let him operate, but that ain't Kevin Durant. That ain't James Harden. That ain't Kyrie Irving. And so now you got 3 guys who it's like they each have strengths, of course, but figuring that shit out is the problem here. This is not a situation where you just plug them into a system and just watch them go. No, this is going to require some sort of
Something.
legitimate strategy. Kevin Durant, James Harden, Kyrie Irving, me and you could probably coach them, and I think shit would be fine.
Yeah.
That is not the case with this Lakers roster. There needs to be some sort of added, like, okay, here is where we're going to take advantage of against this team, and so on and so forth. It is not just all right. Let's, you know what I'm saying. I thought it was gonna be like that. I'm not gonna lie, I did.
No,
But man, was I wrong.
Because it's just like, it's kind of like LeBron is at the point of his career where he wants to play off ball. He doesn't want to like have to be the point guard all the time, but he needs to be the point guard for this team. Because you didn't get a guard. You didn't get a guard. Like, it's crazy because like if you really look at it, like Russell Westbrook like can pass, can facilitate, you know. But it's like it's different versions of passing. You know, you got your passing where you're running down the court and the defense is collapsing and then you kicking out and stuff like that, or you're dumping down to the man. That's kind of been like Russell Westbrook's forte when we talk about facilitating and passing.
Yep. And I was just getting ready to say there's a difference between passing and facilitating.
But it's a difference between, like, you know, when the Lakers had Rajon Rondo in the NBA bubble and the way he runs the offense and facilitates, or Ricky Rubio runs the offense and facilitates, or even Alonzo Ball runs the offense and facilitate. So it's just kind of like, that's what LeBron kind of wants. And it's just like, he kind of had that with Alonzo, but Alonzo needed time to grow and stuff like that. And you had to get AD, but it's just kind of like, LeBron, you can't really play off ball. You got to be the point guard. And then you kind of got to let Russell Westbrook just kind of like be on the wing and kind of just go attack or whatever. But it's just kind of like Russ at this point in his career, he's still athletic, he's still quick, but it's like he can't get to the rim and attack on the same level of like gumption that he used to in the past. And it's kind of like, that's a problem.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think though it's like two different seasons, obviously, right? I think what you're talking about, LeBron having a traditional point guard, would work like during the postseason. I think because now you're like, all right, LeBron, this is your world, you know, put us on your back and whatnot. But during the regular season, I think a lot of Laker fans, including myself, were hoping that it could be the Russ and AD show during the regular season. LeBron, you chill, right? LeBron, this is the year where you just say, you know what, you can relax, take a deep breath.
Option.
You know, yeah, you know what I'm saying? And it's crazy to think that, like, LeBron James, third option, what? But that's what, and then, of course, obviously, when the playoffs come around, feel me, get active. But, like, during the regular season, chill. We know, you know what I'm saying, you're getting up there in age. Let this be the year where you can just relax. Let's get you to a third seed, maybe get you home court advantage and whatnot. And then come playoff time, let's do what we do. But now, with the Lakers asking him to do all this stuff during the regular season, and we know we're going to ask him to do it in the postseason, it's like, well, damn. The whole point, in my opinion, was to have Russ and AD get active for 82 games and just win some, you know what I'm saying, get a top 4 seed and just let LeBron chill. Average a little, you know what I'm saying, 23, 24, get you know what I'm saying, get you assists here and there. But this should have been that Russ and AD show, right? Like two guys who you can make the case have a lot to prove, right? And so, but now it's like LeBron, like, sorry, man. You mind being LeBron still? We know you. We know you about to be entering 2 decades of playing professional basketball, but would you mind? Okay, guys. I guess I'll do it again. But yeah, it is what it is. Oh well. You got a cap or no cap?
Yeah, I got a cap or no cap. It's probably gonna tie into some more conversation real quick. Cap or no cap? Cap or no cap? Miles Bridges should be the front runner for most improved player of the year. That's the cap or no cap. Ooh, I just came out of the top of my head, top of the dome too.
That's what we do, but all right. Man said like we are on episode 3.
No, because I was watching the Knicks. I was watching the Knicks and the Hornets today. This brother got busy. 38. 12, like on their head tie. I just feel like everybody have a career high in the Garden.
We were doing so well.
That's a cap or no cap.
We were doing so well with the no Knicks slander. We were doing so well.
That's a cap or no cap.
Yeah, I like that. Cap or no cap. Should Miles Bridges
be the front runner for
most improved player of the year? I definitely think that Miles Bridges should be the front runner for most improved player of the year.
Hold on, before you, but this is with like we're not including Giannis because I feel like Ja's an MVP candidate. Some people that's going to come out and say like Ja Morant is the most improved player of the year. I'm not including Giannis.
Okay. Oh, you were okay. You said MVP candidate too. You kind of sneak that in there, but I heard it. I'm not mad at it though. I'm not mad at it. You did say that.
Yeah, I did.
And see, this is the part that's so, and I'm going to answer your question in a sec, but this is the part that's so interesting when we say MVP, because I have to acknowledge that. But it's like,
Can let it slide.
I can't. And again, I'm not saying that you're sticking with that statement or decision, whatever, but this idea, like, to win MVP, right, like, you have to be the most valuable player in the entire National Basketball Association, right? It's not just you being a great player for your team. It's not people just being amazed at what you do. And again, love Ja, not taking anything away from what he is doing, right? But to put him in the category of a possible Kevin Durant or Giannis or Steph or any of those guys, LeBron, obviously LeBron. Again, not to say that he can't do it this year or any year, but that's just something that I want people to, feel me, remember. Ja should be MVP. All right, cool. No problem.
MVP candidate.
Oh, right. And again, I'm not saying that.
But right. People's, that's one of the reasons, and that think it is one of the reasons why the people don't want to include DeMar in that conversation.
Well, because again, this is a similar conversation to, who do you have at the table for best player in the world?
I don't think that's a conversation with the MVP though. I think that's who's the best player during the regular season, who's the most exciting player during the regular season. Because Nikola Jokic, I'm not putting Nikola Jokic in that conversation. And he just won an MVP last year. So I think the MVP is like, the Memphis Grizzlies came out of nowhere. They're top 3 seed in the Western Conference. Ja Morant's been spectacular. He's going to be an all-star starter. Like,
come on.
Me saying he's an MVP candidate. Same with DeMar DeRozan.
All right. So right now, you touch on Ja Morant, then we'll top it in Miles Bridges. Why do you think that Ja Morant should be an MVP candidate?
I just told you why. Ja Morant.
No, I want the full sentence. Why do you think Ja Morant should be an MVP candidate?
Ja Morant is an MVP candidate because the Memphis Grizzlies have basically gone from a play-in seed to a top 3 seed in the Western Conference. They've exceeded expectations. His numbers across the board have increased as well. He's going to be an all-star NBA. He's going to be an all-star starter this year at his position. And it's just kind of like he's also been exciting and spectacular. And he's also doing things that we haven't really seen before when we talk about like, it's a breath of fresh air when we talk about like a guard playing like similar to like a young Derrick Rose or like an Allen Iverson, like a 2000s guard. Like he's doing things that's like, it's so fun to watch. He's spectacular. And they're winning games. And he's a key component to their success. So it's just kind of like, and he makes other guys better. So it's just like he's done, and he's improved on his 3-point shot where you can't like sag off on him and go under the screen because he's now hitting threes at a higher clip than he's done in his previous 2 seasons in the NBA. So it's just kind of like he's here. And it's like we had to start having conversations like, Ja is in those conversations with Luka, Tatum, and Trey now. It's not like we can't forget about him when we talk about 2500. So he's doing things like, he's hitting a lot of like boom, 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 boom things all this year. Like he's hitting a lot of metrics that nobody really expected him to hit, but he's doing that personally and also having team success. So that's why I say you got to put him in the MVP conversation, not the most improved conversation that most people want to do. He has to be in the MVP conversation. I'm not saying he's top 3. I'm not even saying if he's number 4, but he's like, if it's like top 10, he's closer to that 5 than that 10 range, in my opinion.
Okay. I just wanted a clear statement. That's all. I wasn't you're crazy thing. I just wanted people to hear the reason behind it. Not mad at all.
That's why I asked about Miles Bridges, most improved.
Yeah,
I just had to throw that in there because I didn't want Ja to like, because most people, like if this is a social clip, people are going to be like, oh, Ja Morant. No. Like, and it's crazy because what we seeing Ja do, it's just kind of like, I expect him to do these things. I just didn't think it was going to happen this fast. So it's just like, I can't sit up and say like, he was the 2nd overall draft pick. So when we talk about most improved player, like Miles Bridges' progression has grown each and every year steadily. Like it's not like he was a 12th pick overall and he's averaging 1974 this year. And it's just kind of like, like he's really, that's most improved. Like Jordan Poole, most improved. Like Desmond Bain, most improved. Like Darius Garland, even though he was a high draft pick, but he's just like most improved. Dejounte Murray, most improved. Those are the guys I'm looking at like for most improved players of the year. And that's why I want to ask you, is Miles Bridges the front runner?
Yeah, I think Miles Bridges should definitely be the front runner for most improved player of the year right now. I mean, when you kind of just look at the numbers and everything that he's done with the Charlotte, team, I mean, it just makes sense. I know there's a lot of guys on that list. But right now, if I had to choose just one, it would definitely be Miles Bridges. Now, I will say this, what he and LaMelo are doing down in Charlotte, people need to start paying attention. Straight like people really need to start paying attention because it's not just exciting basketball. Like, they're doing what needs to be done. And I think, too, just kind of, moving forward, they have youth, yes, but they have, like, guys that enjoy playing with one another. You know what I'm saying? Like, and sometimes in certain teams, certain GMs, certain front offices, certain cities, all that, you can just tell when the energy isn't there, right? You can just tell when it's like, all right, do y'all want to be here? You know what I'm saying?
Like,
but I don't think
each other. That matters.
Right, exactly. Like, this is all a business at the end of the day, and sometimes you don't like your coworkers, right? They might be teammates, but if you don't like your coworkers, shit ain't gonna work out. And so I think what they have down there is like a group of guys that enjoy playing well. That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like, when I watch it. So
yeah, so I can agree with that.
Yeah,
but I think he's part of like the list. Like I said, I look at Miles Bridges, Desmond Bane, Darius Garland, Delonte Murray, and Jordan Poole. I look at those guys like that has to be the crop for most improved player of the year. And I got to give the edge to Darius Garland. And the reason why I got to give the edge to Darius Garland because, like I said, like you like winning. Cleveland Cavaliers came out of nowhere as well. And that main like factor is Darius Garland because not only is he like scoring, he's also facilitating and getting guys easy shots and really facilitating, like setting things up to get Evan Mobley coming off a curl screen, hit a jumper, like pick and roll with Jared Allen, throwing the oop. Like he's really like running the offense and also like he's dangerous, creating off the dribble. That brother's range is crazy. Like he's probably the first brother that I've seen in the NBA where I think that maybe can enter that list of like Rashad Phillips always talks about, and I always talk about like the 4-level scorer list. Like his range is that deep. It's crazy. So to me, for most improved, my front runner would be Darius Garland, but I'm not mad at the Miles Bridges at all.
Yeah, I mean, I think those are two solid picks. I mean,
this is definitely gonna be a great social cut.
Yeah, I definitely think in terms of okay, so, we should have that too. Like, who are your top 3 candidates right now for most improved player of the year? I have Miles Bridges, Darius Garland. Who we got at 3? Who you want? Because to me, those 2 are locks. For most improved, those 2 are locks. We could throw Ja in there. I know you.
I guess people would throw Ja in there, but I don't want to throw Ja. I'm not going to throw Ja in there because it's just like.
That's okay.
I want to asterisk.
I get it.
If this is a social, I want to asterisk if you're not including Ja Morant.
Not including Ja.
I want to asterisk in there because if we're including everybody knows
man trying to make it known. Like, look, hey man, not including Ja. Damn it.
I want to asterisk in there, but like if my top 3 for most improved, like you said, you got Bridges and you got Garland. That's top 2, but Delonte Murray has to be in there. He's special. He's athletic. He's a great defender. His jump shot is coming around. He's developing that. And it's kind of like, he reminds me of a taller and a more kind of like athletic version of Rajon Rondo. That's who he reminds me of. Like his IQ is there. His skill set is there. He plays hard. And it's just kind of like the Spurs got a lot of young guys down there that are very, very talented. But like he's the cream of the crop. And he's playing very, very well. I know people not watching San Antonio games, but they should check some out because he's hooping. He's hooping. So that's my 3.
Yeah. So in terms, okay. So in terms of most improved player of the year, the top 3 guys that we really got to start thinking about: Miles Bridges, Darius Garland, and DeJounte Murray. Those are, what I'm saying? I know there's other names out there, but those to me are like the 3 guys that definitely deserve their flowers and recognition when we had that conversation of most improved player of the year. So
asterisk with Ja Morant. If we're not talking about Ja Morant, because Ja Morant is in my MVP category.
And he can win both. Who knows? But good, great cap or no cap segment. And to close out this episode, I want to do something about it. You're probably going to be irritated, but it has to be done.
Oh my God.
You know what's going to happen. I waited this whole episode and I kept my mouth shut about it.
You got a Patriots hoodie on. How do you talk? How do you go crazy and your team lost as well? That's crazy.
All right, so let's all right. Again, y'all, this is a basketball podcast, but the real recognize real. Listen, y'all, I'm going to say this, okay? The Patriots got clapped this weekend. All right.
Clapped.
The Cowboys are no longer in the playoffs. The Philadelphia Eagles are no longer in the playoffs, but you know what? The NFL season is continuing, which means, all right, you can still sign up with MyBookie using the promo code No Pump Fakes. All right, use the link in the description of this episode. All right, just because your team isn't in the playoffs anymore, like mine. I mean, you feel me? Y'all see the Patriots hoodie. All right, you can still use the link No Pump Fakes with MyBookie. All right, W deposit up to $1,000. All right, either link in the description of this episode or go straight to MyBookie and use the code No Pump Fakes.
No Pump Fakes, deposit up to $1,000. Once again, I remember, that doesn't mean you have to put 1,000. If you want to put 1,000, you put 1,000. You want to put 5, you can get 5 more. You want to put 10, you want to get 10 more. Like your boy did. I put in 20 on my bookie, got 20 back, and bet on the Cowboys. It wasn't a good day.
Oh, so yeah. Then
that's why you never bet on the teams that you like.
Or you just don't bet on the Cowboys.
Go to MyBookie, No Pump Fakes. Use the promo code. We out.
Facts, we out.
It's your boy, M.I.K. Smith, also known as A-Kiss. Make sure you guys go follow No Pump Fakes wherever you get your podcasts.